Tuesday night brought with it one of the more unspoken concerns that I had about Terry Francona, something that we will dive into today.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Reds. My name is Jeff Carr. I am so glad that you're alongside me here today. I'm a lifelong Cincinnati Reds fan. I've been hosting this podcast, whether solo or co-hosted, for going into my 7th season now. And Locked On Reds is, of course, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. And on today's show, we're going to look at a couple of the minor league rosters in the Reds organization that excite me. That's coming up later on in today's show, and tell you why Chattanooga is just going to be, they're going to be a wagon. It's going to be awesome. We're going to look here in a few minutes at another great day on the mound for the Reds pitching staff. But it stinks that it was wasted because the Reds lost 1-0 on Tuesday night to the Texas Rangers in a beautiful pitching performance by Nathan Eovaldi. You can't take that away from him. But there was an interesting question that I have that came up in the 9th inning, and something that I've thought about all offseason long when it comes to Terry Francona, when it comes to his strategy. Terry Francona is a guy that meshes new school and old school, and I think that it's probably slightly skewed to old school, but dude knows what he's doing. He's got a ring. He's done some great things. I don't have a ring. What's fair for me to question that? The Reds don't have a ring in my life. Well, okay, I was a tiny little baby in 1990. So as far as my baseball fan life goes, what I can remember, they don't have a ring during that time. So it's not really fair for me to go too crazy questioning Terry Francona, but bunting TJ Friedl in the 9th inning has me wondering a little bit. We talked about this yesterday whenever the Reds destroyed the Rangers 14-3. We said that the top third of the lineup, which went off on Monday night, is going to drive the run production more days than not for this team. We got to figure out the supporting cast who's going to back these guys up, but it's Friedl, it's McLean, and it's Ellie. Those three guys are going to lead this run production machine in Cincinnati. So that is why I question this. I've come around a little bit. I used to be a never bunt guy. Never bunt. Don't tell me the odds. Don't tell me the situation. Never bunt. Always swing away. I get it sometimes, though, right? And I think this was an interesting situation where Jacob Hurtubise pinch hits in the 9th inning for Austin Wins and laces a beautiful single down the right field line. So he's standing on first base. Here comes TJ Friedl. Mind you, Nathan Eovaldi had been maybe the most efficient pitching performance I've ever seen, at least definitely ever seen in person. I've never seen a no-hitter in person. And he gave up a couple of hits, but he was under 90 pitches going into the 9th inning, just absolutely going through this Reds lineup like a hot knife through butter. And it wasn't a ton of strikeouts. It was just weak contact here, ground ball here. A little bit lucky because there was some hard contact, but they were right at gloves in the outfield. But overall, it was a day where he was able to scatter any hits that the Reds had, walk nobody, and he did what the pitching staff for the Rangers couldn't do on Monday night, and that was stop the Reds from scoring at all. But with that being said, the Reds had an opportunity with a runner on first base and nobody out in the bottom of the 9th inning. Rally caps on and all. TJ Friedl lays down a bunt. Now, more often than not, TJ Friedl lays down a beautiful bunt. The Rangers were ready for this, so this was going to be a sacrifice bunt. I would have been shocked had TJ Friedl beat it out for a bunt single. But the way that he laid it down, it died on the dirt in front of the catcher. The catcher picks it up. Kyle Higashioka picks it up easily, throws out the lead runner, Hurtubise at second. So for me, that right there, the execution is easy enough to question. But I'm going back for, had it worked out, and they sacrificed Hurtubise over to second. Here's the thing. That was a 2-pitch at bat. On a day where not a soul was making Nathan Eovaldi work. I think that Matt McClain had like an 8-pitch at bat in the first inning. And I'm pretty sure nobody else came close to that. Because Nathan Eovaldi, like I said, started the 9th inning under 90 pitches. And with TJ Friedl, one of your best 3 hitters at the plate, at least in my estimation, I don't know that bunting was the right play there. Like, if we're talking about the bottom third, if we're talking about Jake Fraley, maybe I would even entertain Gavin Lux, although Gavin Lux had a hit in this game that looked pretty good. There's situations where I feel like you could make that argument. TJ Friedel's not one of those. TJ Friedl lays down bunts in great situations to cause chaos. This was expected. The Rangers were ready for any sort of bunt. And TJ Friedel's got that kind of weird pull power to the right field, the right field fence at Great American. And you're taking the bat out of his hands in that situation. So now there's 1 out, runner on first base, TJ Friedl, Matt McClain's up. TJ Friedl does move over, but Matt McClain's out. You've got a runner on second base and 2 outs. Friedl is able to move over to third on a wild pitch, but ultimately Ellie grounds out to first. Game over. It was a very frustrating 9th inning because of that one play. And I think this was the first opportunity for Terry Francona to kind of roll out this old baseball theology of get them on, get them over, get them in. You score that 1 run, you force extras, Nathan Eovaldi's out, you make the Rangers bullpen work. But as much as the Reds were just completely unsuccessful at pushing the envelope with any at bat during Thursday or Tuesday night, I'm getting ahead of myself, during Tuesday night's contest, I felt like there was an opportunity to do that. You saw, at least I saw, him spike a splitter to Matt McClain in the next at bat following TJ Friedl. What if TJ Friedl fights off a few pitches? What if TJ Friedl pushes that at bat longer? I'm not going to stand on a table and say never bunt. I get it. Sometimes it makes sense. But this felt like the situation where I'm not telling TJ Friedl to bunt. He comes up with good hits more often than not. He had a 2-hit night on Monday night. And I get it. Everybody was kind of hitting. But I felt like that for me. Like, this is a game that you could easily write off and say this was one of the 50. The Reds were just not going to win this game. And I'm not going to disagree with you. But this one move, for me, felt like it took the Reds out of the game. They just had a leadoff single. There was a decent attendance for the first 3-2-1 Tuesday at Great American, even though it was 50 degrees at first pitch and it sank lower than that by the end of I was getting a little cold there by the end of the game. But it felt like everybody was energized by Hurtaby's leadoff single. And it feels like the bunt, even had it been successful, I don't know that furthers the vibes. And we've talked about it before in the past. Everydayers will know there are analytics that say bunting does not work because you lower your expected runs scored in the inning because you're giving up an out. And actually, and if I can recall as well, Bruce Bochy came out to talk, the pitching coach for the Rangers came out to talk to Nathan Eovaldi after the first pitch that he threw to TJ Friedl because Friedl attempted a bunt on that one and pulled back. And they called time and they talked it over on the mound. I'm pretty sure that he told him, throw him a good pitch to bunt. They're giving us an out. Let's take it. And it worked out perfectly for him. I just didn't love that there. And I think that's going to be something that I'm going to watch all year. This was something that I thought about during the offseason, and there really wasn't a point to be like, guys, what about bunting, right? Like, what do we think about that? But now we're going to win it because I felt like it played a big role in the Reds' loss. And it's something I'm going to be monitoring moving forward. But you know what I loved? on Tuesday night, big time pitching performance, and it came from Carson Spiers. Talk about that next. Oh, caught me with some pistachios. I'm telling you what, man, you got to get you some wonderful pistachios right here. They are amazing. Great flavor is packed into each one of these pistachios, these specific ones being chili roasted. They're about empty. I need to go get me some more, but I might get some salt and vinegar, might get some jalapeno lime, might just get some nice salt roasted pistachios, because they're so delicious, but they're packed with protein. This is the kind of snack that you can replace your chips, you can replace your pretzels, and you can get you some pistachios and feel better about every bite that you take. In fact, I mean, I can't wait to take this bite. You got to learn more, though. You got to check out the snack that packs a protein punch over at wonderfulpistachios.com. Check them out in your grocer near you. They're all over the place. Get yourself some wonderful pistachios right now. This one's mine. Thanks for always making Locked On Reds your first listen, your second listen every single day. If you're an everydayer, thank you so much for being an everydayer. And if you're not, hit that subscribe button, become an everydayer. And you'll also be subscribed and able to watch Tim Daniels' postcast show. I about said post-game and postcast all at the same time. So yes, postcast show with Tim Daniel at the end of every Reds game. I know he had some fun last night. 1-0 loss by the Reds in game 2 of their series with the Rangers. Beautiful pitching performance from Nathan Eovaldi that completely shut out the Reds lineup, completely shut out a great pitching performance from Carson Spiers. We said yesterday, me and Steve both, when we were looking at this game, we said Carson Spiers, maybe 5 innings, maybe 3 runs is what we're hoping for. This pitching line, though, was phenomenal. 6 innings, 1 run, 5 strikeouts. That 1 run was a solo home run by Wyatt Langford, the only run-scoring play of the entire game, and it happened in the first inning. But 3 hits, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. He had as many strikeouts as he had base runners. This is the kind of line that if I was like, hey, Reds starting pitcher gives you 6 innings with 1 earned run, 5 strikeouts, you're probably thinking, boy, that's a pretty good day at the office for Nick Lodolo. But we're talking about Carson Spiers. He's a guy that whenever he was announced to replace Andrew Abbott, most of us went, well, yeah, that's kind of by default. Rhett Lauder's hurt. He's still working his way back. Andrew Abbott's not going to be ready to go, which, by the way, he had a great rehab outing in Louisville last night, pitched really well, looks like he's really close to coming back. Reports are he will pitch 1 more game, and then they'll make a decision. But with that, we all kind of thought, all right, 1, maybe 2 starts from Carson Spiers, then Andrew Abbott's up here. It's going to be hard to take Carson Spiers out of the rotation if he's constantly throwing 6-inning ball games with 1 run. I don't expect that from him. I don't expect Carson Spiers to push Andrew Abbott out of the rotation. I would expect him to either A, go down to Louisville and remain stretched out and be that kind of depth that the Reds pitching staff needs, or maybe they move into the bullpen. He becomes the swing style pitcher like what the Reds had with Nick Martinez earlier on last season, where he makes a couple starts when you need him to. He makes some high leverage bullpen appearances when you need him to. He's there for you in any situation. I'm kind of okay with either one, almost more so to the fact that maybe you keep him in the major leagues, because if he's going to pitch like this, he's going to be an asset. He got a little bit lucky, right? He got 3 total hits, and there's plenty of balls put in play against him. But that's not going to be I'm not going to begrudge that and say, well, I'm going to take that away from him. Overall, a very good night. And when you put his starting pitching performance together with the other 4 guys, Nick Martinez, Brady Singer, Nick Lodolo, and Hunter Green, the first time through the rotation, the Reds starting staff looks every bit what we thought they'd be. In 5 starts, they average 6 innings a start, and they have an ERA of 2.7. Now, that might be a little bit better than it ends up as far as the ERA is concerned. But if you're going to average 6 innings a start, this Reds team is going to have a chance to win more often than not. And they've done a fantastic job of limiting the base on balls. Just 5%, 5.3% walk rate right now. League average last season was 8.5%. So the Reds are really ahead of the curve when it comes to limiting the base on balls. That's something that's going to play all year long, whether you're getting the strikeouts or whether you're getting the ground outs and giving up contact. As long as you're not walking people, there's nobody on base to come around in whenever you do give up the contact. So I love to see that from the starting staff. But we said this all off season. We said this all through spring training. The pitching staff was going to push this team forward. The pitching staff is why the Reds will make their ultimate goal of getting to the playoffs. It's unfortunate that we've seen a couple of starts go by the wayside so far this season, though. Hunter Green, solid 5-inning start on opening day. Reds end up losing that game. Carson Spiers, 6 inning of 1-run ball. He gets the loss because whenever he left, the Reds were down 1-0, and that's the end of that because the Reds never scored. It's these tough luck pitching losses that are going to weigh the heaviest when we get to the end of the season. If the Reds miss their ultimate goal and the lineup really dooms them that much, then, man, they got a lot of issues because this pitching staff is going to keep them in every single ball game. And I love, too, and this was kind of funny. I mean, Carson Spiers had a great outing. Then Scott Barlow comes in, pitches pretty well. Taylor Rogers then gets called upon, which – I'm still kind of building this case. I'm not going to make the take right now, but I'm a little bit concerned about Taylor Rogers, but I'm going to save that for a later show. I want to see some more out of him, but I have some concerns about him. We'll see if those are anything I got to worry about. But Taylor Rogers gets into some trouble, only pitches 2/3 of an inning, and with a runner on third base, with a runner on first base, and Adolis Garcia coming to the plate, probably the biggest power threat in the Rangers lineup, he gets Ian Gibaut. Now, look, I hated his performance on opening day. I didn't like the fact that he was called upon to close that game. And I wasn't the biggest fan of him getting the call here. But when he came in, when Joe Zerhusen said his name on the public address or the public address system, there were people that booed him. Why? Why are you booing Ian Gibaut? Because he lost a game? We're going to be booing a lot of people. I don't get that. And I don't like to tell people how to fan, right? I'm not King fan and I know everything and this is how you should be as a fan. But Reds fans don't boo their own guys unless there's just like overwhelming evidence to the contrary that we should be. And I can't recall the last time I felt that way about somebody. Like you kind of boo a guy who can't throw strikes. But that's not Ian Gibaut's problem. Ian Gibaut got caught into a situation that he wanted, but quite frankly was not as qualified in my estimation, although Terry Francona disagrees because he made the call. But to boo the guy, and you know what? I'm so happy he did what he did because he comes in, gets 4 outs. And he doesn't allow a base runner. We still going to boo him next time? I was floored by that. I look, I'm never going to tell anybody how to root for your team, how to root for the Reds. But I think here I might make an exception. Don't be that person. Don't be the person that boos Ian Gibaut. Or maybe you should because he pitched really well after he did that. I don't know. But I just think that's a bad look. That is a bad look. And I want no part of that. You won't see me doing that. But I'm happy that he came out there and he pitched an inning and a third of clean ball. Overall, great pitching performance by the Reds as a whole. It just didn't They couldn't hit for the lineup, and the lineup couldn't hit at all. But the Reds made an announcement yesterday before the game that they have finalized their other minor league rosters. Uh, and I tell you what, I got to get down to Chattanooga to see a game because the Lookouts, they're going to be a lot of fun. There's a great app and a great website for you to check out to help you manage your money. You can see all of your accounts, all of your finances, all of your investments in one place, and that is at monarchmoney.com. Look, it's tax season. I get it. We're coming to the close of it. A lot of us have already filed, but if there's a great way to help you build wealth and not just manage your money, it's through Monarch Money, because I can see my spending accounts, I can see my savings accounts, and I can see my investment accounts, my 401k. It's all in one place. I don't have to go to multiple websites and remember multiple passwords. I just got one. But Monarch Money can help you with so many things. And right now, I got a great deal for you. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB on the Monarch Money app and over at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB, and you'll get half off your first year. If you can't watch us on YouTube, you can always listen to us on your favorite podcast app. We are literally on every single one of them out there. Make sure you subscribe today. There were a couple of encouraging developments before the game began on Tuesday night. The Reds finalized their organizational rosters for all of their minor league teams. And man, oh man, got to get down to Chattanooga. I'm going to share this graphic that the Lookouts tweeted, but also break down some of the exciting players that'll be on the Lookouts roster. Whether you're looking at pitchers or you're looking at position players, the Lookouts are going to be a lot of fun. Because on the position side of things, you got Sal Stewart and you got Edwin Arroyo, who are going to be manning that middle infield spot for Chattanooga. But you also have Cam Collier whenever he comes back from the injured list. He's currently on the injured list with that broken thumb. Then on the pitching side of things, you're going to have Jose Acuna, who was really awesome last season. Really looking forward to seeing what he's got. You're going to have a couple of interesting dudes in Trevor Kunkel and Bryce Hubbard and guys like that. But overall, a very, very solid group of pitchers. This lineup, man, it's just going to be crazy. Because even until Cam Collier comes back, you got Ruben Ibarra, who did really well for the Dragons for a couple of years. The outfield's got Jay Allen in it. It's also got Hector Rodriguez. I'm looking forward to seeing what Chattanooga's got cooking, because these guys aren't that far off. Once you start getting to Double-A, eyebrows start getting raised about you. Are you going to perform? Are you going to show out? Are you going to show that here in a couple of years the Reds can count on you? This is the time for Sal Stewart to shine. This is the time for Edwin Arroyo to shine. I think that Arroyo gets called up, everything being equal, gets called up to AAA before Sal Stewart does. But Sal looked really good in spring training. He keeps that up. I could be dead wrong about that. And then for those of us that are local to Cincinnati, and maybe the Chattanooga drive could be a little bit of a long one, it's not that long to get up to Dayton. It's a very nice drive. And this is a team where the lineup's going to be intriguing. There's a couple of guys that I'm going to keep an eye on, like Leo Balcazar. Ricardo Cabrera at third base is going to be a lot of fun to watch. I know that he was tearing it up in Daytona. And then a lot of folks that really pay close attention to Reds prospects are excited that Yerling Confidant will be in Dayton, hoping to see a lot out of him. Carlos Jorge as well. He moved to center field last year out of the infield, dealt with a lot of injuries, but the little bit of playing time he had was very intriguing. I remember Tom Nichols talking a lot about him and saying that, he could be a lot of fun to watch, could be a fast mover if he picks things up pretty quickly. But Carlos Jorge will start the year in Dayton. But the Dayton pitching staff, oh my. I mean, first off, you got Chase Burns. And I'll tell everybody this. I was talking to a couple of friends at the ballpark last night. I will tell everybody within earshot, if you want to see Chase Burns in a Dayton Dragons uniform, you best get up quick, because it might be 2 starts. Like, I would be shocked if there was a third. and then he's going to get called up to Chattanooga. But Chase Burns is going to start the season as a Dayton Dragon. Right behind him, you got Adam Servanowski, who really rose up through the prospect rankings last year. There were a couple of outlets that rank Reds prospects and rank all the prospects and things like that. And they had him barely inside the top 30 at the beginning of the year. And by the end of the year, he was in the top 20, reaching, getting close to the top 10. Very interesting pitcher. I'm curious to see how he looks in Dayton this year. And then you also have the Reds minor league pitcher of the year in Nestor Laurent. And if you've seen a video of his delivery, I'm not going to try to do the delivery because I will look foolish and I'm not Nestor Laurent. But Nestor Laurent has an interesting delivery where he's a righty. And as he is getting ready to deliver the pitch, he comes over the top with his arm and he's kind of leaning, to the first base side. So he's leaning to the first base side. His arm comes over the top with whatever he's throwing. So that was an intriguing kind of a pitching motion to watch. I'm curious to see how he continues to develop because he's not a guy that's on a lot of lists. You're not going to be hearing, baseball or MLB Pipeline talk about him. You're not going to hear Baseball America talking about him, but I'm curious to see exactly how good he looks. But those top three in the rotation are going to be quite intriguing. I know Luis May started out in Dayton last year, and of course he's going to be in Louisville. You got May and you've got Zach Maxwell in Louisville right now. So there's nobody that's really jumping out to me from the bullpen side of things, but the starting pitching staff is going to be a lot of fun to watch up in Dayton. I recommend you better get up there in the first couple of games of the season, though, if you want to see Chase Burns. I don't know that he moves up to the major leagues like Rhett Lauder did last year. Rhett Lauder got to the major leagues out of necessity, out of tons of injuries. And I think that's the way that Chase Burns makes it to the major leagues this year as well, albeit he's probably going to show the talent that he could be in the major leagues. And I wonder how the Reds will approach that. Because if they don't need to, I feel like they won't. And they may just leave him in Louisville for a season if he makes it up to Louisville very quickly like Rhett Lauder did. And then next year he's competing for a spot. Because remember, the Reds do not have Nick Martinez or Brady Singer under contract next year. There's a chance they could extend one or both of them, but they might not, knowing that they got Chase Burns coming up. But he's going to be starting the year down in Dayton. But overall, the Reds minor league system that's starting to get a couple of guys closer and closer to the major league level, I would be intrigued at what sort of trade offers they get this season from teams that are looking to rebuild. How long do the Chicago White Sox hold out to their just astronomically crazy asking price for Luis Robert? Would they come down and say, okay, Edwin Arroyo and then maybe one other guy or something like that? Could be intriguing. Edwin Arroyo seems like an interesting player in this as well, because the big thing that the Reds need to learn about him is, can he hit? And if he goes through an entire season and he doesn't hit very well, he's not going to have much trade value and he's not going to have much major league value either. Because everybody knows that the glove is good. He's got a really good glove. And I've said before that I thought that as good as his glove is, they could decide to move Ellie off shortstop and bring up Arroyo. But it feels like more and more, nobody's pushing Ellie anywhere he doesn't want to go, and he's going to stick at short. If that's the case, I think it might be more beneficial for the Reds to trade Arroyo than to move him to a different position. Because it seems like he's already sort of a light-hitting shortstop. Light-hitting shortstops don't suddenly become adequate hitting third baseman. Just saying. So, could be some interesting prospects that we see soon. Could be some interesting prospects that we see soon in trades. But the minor league rosters and the organizational rosters are all finalized. That means we're going to have baseball all over the diamond, minor leagues, major leagues. So excited. It's finally back. And hopefully I'll stop having to wear this hoodie underneath a jersey when I go down to a ball game. I know we're going to be burning up here soon, but I'm looking forward to it. Look, I'm probably going to complain about sweating at some point during the season, but don't let me because I'm tired of being cold. Can't wait to be warm and at the ballpark and enjoying a 3-2-1 Tuesday, man. It was cold trying to hold on to the cold beverages, and I didn't even consider the $1 the ice cream cup. Not happening. Cold night at the ballpark. And the Reds ended up losing 1-0. Hopefully they can win this rubber match here today, which, depending on when you're listening to it, may already be happening. But thank you so much for checking out today's Locked On Reds podcast. If this is your first time, make sure that you are subscribed. That way you can become an everydayer and check out all of the great Reds content that we've got coming for you all the rest of this season. We're going to be with you every single day. Steve will be back later on this week. He's been traveling. He was here with us in Ohio. I mean, you got to see our interesting setup whenever Steve and I are in person. He is headed back to Hawaii, should be back to Hawaii here as you're listening to this, but he'll be back on with me here in a couple of days. But we will always keep you locked on Reds every single day.